You're listening to Power 750 WAUG and online at power750.com. If you're looking for affordable health and insurance coverage, well then give Jonica Rowland of the Rowland Group a call. She's here to serve families, individuals, and small businesses. Contact her at 919-719-7211 or at 919-539-2492. Once again, contact Jonica Rowland of the Rowland Group. Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Babethomherman Show with your host, Herman Thomas. And I certainly hope that you sit back and enjoy your early morning coffee with Babethomherman. Now, first of all, showing some love to the Durham Bulls. And if you want to keep up with the Bulls or any of your local minor league baseball teams, feel free to go to MILB.com. Also, the NFL opened their training camps on this week. So if you want to keep up with local NFL interests or your local NFL team, you can go to the Panthers.com. Also, if you want to keep informed of your favorite team, it may not be the Carolina Panthers, feel free to go to NFL.com. My favorite team, of course, and I'm going to push them and promote them. That's the Baltimore Ravens. You can go to the BaltimoreRavens.com. Also, don't forget about our Carolina Hurricanes right here in the RDU area. You can go to hurricanes.nhl.com to keep up with your local ACC team. And when I say local, I'm talking about NC State, Duke, UNC, and Wake Forest. You can go to theacc.com. One thing, an interesting note that I found out this week with all the talk about Penn State, the sanctions that the NCAA imposed on them this past Monday, is that I found out there are only 3 ACC football programs that have never been placed on probation. That's Duke, Wake Forest, and Boston College. Once again, there's 3 ACC football programs that have never been placed on probation. And later on in my show, I'm going to name all the teams that have never been placed on probation by the NCAA. This is a 30-minute show, but it's interesting that it's such a small list. I will have time to name all the teams that have not been placed on any type of NCAA probation, and that's football teams. Now, of course, we know after the free report earlier this month, and this month I'm talking about in July, of course, the NCAA acted very quickly, and on this past Monday, July the 23rd, President Mark Emmert announced at an early morning press conference that the Penn State program, football program that is, would be placed on probation. Penn State received the most severe punishment in major college football in the past 25 years. Many people, including myself, feel that it may be worse than what the death penalty that SMU received back in 1987. I'm going to just go over a brief list and I'll break it down to everyone a little later after I go over this. You look at the $60 million sanction. That's coming from the NCAA. The Big Ten also fined Penn State $13 million. So that's $73 million total in financial penalties they received. The 4-year bowl ban, of course. They had to vacate all wins from 1998 to 2011, 112 total. Of that 112, Joe Pa accounted for 111 of those wins, and we'll go more into that in a minute. And also, they received a reduction of scholarships. The NCAA will allow any entering or returning student football athlete to transfer and immediately compete at the transfer university, provided he is otherwise eligible. I'm going to let you listen to the news conference held on this past Monday that Mark Emmert announced the penalties that, or the sanctions rather, that the NCAA are imposing on the Penn State University football program.
The sanctions we are imposing are based upon these most fundamental principles of the NCAA. With these intentions in mind, the Executive Committee, the Division I Board, and I have agreed upon the following sanctions. First, the NCAA is imposing a fine of $60 million on the university, with the funds to be used to establish an endowment to support programs around the nation that serve the victims of child sexual abuse and seek to prevent such abuse from happening. This amount is the equivalent of 1 year's gross revenue of the football team. Second, Penn State football will be banned from bowl games and any other postseason play for 4 years. Third, Penn State's football team will have its initial scholarships reduced from 25 to 15 per year for a period of 4 years. In order to minimize the negative impact on student athletes, the NCAA will allow any entering or returning football student athletes to transfer and immediately compete at the transfer university, provided he is otherwise eligible. Further, any football student athlete who wants to remain at Penn State may retain his athletic grant and aid as long as he meets and maintains appropriate academic requirements, regardless of whether he competes on the football team. Fourth, the NCAA vacates all wins of the Penn State football team from 1998 to 2011, and the records will reflect these changes. Fifth, the university athletic program will serve a 5-year probationary period during which it must work with an academic integrity monitor of the association's choosing.
One thing I noticed that Mark Emmert said and caught my attention, when you go back and listen to what he said is,
the NCAA will allow any entering or returning football student athletes to transfer and immediately compete at the transfer university, provided he is otherwise eligible.
Now, earlier this week, USC, the University of Southern California Trojans, notified Penn State of their interest in running back Silas Reed. Even though USC is bowl eligible, they're still on probation until 2014. What I can't understand is why you're going to allow, and he hasn't transferred yet, but my thing is, why would you allow a player to leave a program that you impose sanctions on, they're on probation, to go to a program that's on probation? They won't be off probation until technically off probation until 2014. Very interesting to see if the NCAA will allow this. You're going to allow a player to possibly leave a team on probation to go to a team on probation. Now, USC is technically bowl eligible this year. Their probation won't be completed until 2014. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes about in the situation with Red. So, and Red has 2 years eligibility remaining. This past season, he rushed for 1,241 yards and 7 touchdowns. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that turns out. Now, basically in a nutshell, the free report confirmed what we all suspected. If you've been listening to my show the past 3 weeks, I did a series after Joe Pa, should coaches be the face of college and universities? So if you missed those wonderful series, you can go to my YouTube channel, Babethomherman, and listen to that show, those series of shows, or any show that you have missed. Once again, that's YouTube, Babethomherman. Also, please feel free to follow me on Twitter, at Babethomherman. And if you wanted to send me a message, you can send me an email, babethomherman@yahoo.com. So basically, in a nutshell, like I stated, the free report confirmed what we all suspected, and that is Joe Paterno basically ran Penn State University. Then President Graham Spanier, who was named September 2010, he was named chairman of the 12-member BCS Presidential Oversight Committee. Like I stated last week, this position is just as powerful as NCAA President Mark Emmert's position as the president. Now, it just let us know also, the free report, that Graham Spanier wasn't in charge of Penn State University, and he was the president. The former president, I must add, no backbone. Also, neither did Penn State's vice president for finance and business, Gary Schultz. He didn't have a backbone to stand up to Paterno. Neither did former athletic director Tim Curley. Now, Tim Curley and Gary Schultz have been indicted on charges, and it's going to remain to be seen whether Graham Spanier will be indicted as well. It's amazing that all three of them just sat there and protected a vulture like Jerry Sandusky, a perverted vulture, I must add. Now, going back to the sanctions that were imposed on Penn State, I first said the economic sanctions. You look at the $60 million fine. SMU, I said that this could be classified. A lot of people, including myself, feel like this is just as worse as the death penalty. 4 years of a bowl ban, $60 million fine. The fine is equal to the approximate annual revenue of the football program and must be paid within 5 years. The fine will help to fund programs aimed at preventing child sexual abuse or assisting victims of such crime. And like I stated earlier, the Big Ten also will fine Penn State $13 million over the next 4 years, the equivalent of their take of postseason revenues. Now, SMU did not receive an NCAA fine, although the financial impact back at that time was heavy because of no football. So SMU lost hundreds of millions of dollars back in '87. Now, one interesting thing here is that television ban. Now, you would think with a 4-year bowl ban that you would have a television ban, but that's not the case with Penn State. So the NCAA did let them off light there. You just imagine a greater financial impact that would be if they were not allowed to be on TV. But SMU had a television ban of 1 year. Scholarship reductions, Penn State limited to 15 new scholarships per season for 4 years. SMU limited to 15 new scholarships per season for 4 years. So that's about the same as far as scholarship reductions. Now, starting in the 2013-14 season, academic year rather, Penn State also will see a reduction of 20 scholarships from 85 to 65 for 4 years. So that's going to really hurt. It's going to really hurt. I said last week if you were going to do anything, you had to destroy, dismantle, destroy, whatever you want to call it. You had to go after the legacy of Joe Paterno. Joe Paterno was larger than life on that campus, coached 61 seasons of Penn State football, was an employee at Penn State for 62 years, and wouldn't have had a problem with it changing it to Joe Paterno State University. It's amazing. It is definitely amazing. Now, if you look here, 112 victories that they had to vacate, 111 of those victories belong to Joe Paterno. Now, the NCAA did the right thing in taking away victories from 1998 to the 2011 seasons. The NCAA had to step up and send a swift message to the legacy of Joe Paterno, and that was to take away the 111 wins, meaning the late coach falls behind former Florida State coach Bobby Bowden. Bobby Bowden has 377 victories in major college football wins, and Paterno's win total drops to 298. But overall, legendary Grambling head football coach Eddie Robinson is now college football's Division I winningest coach at 408 victories. When I come back from this brief message, I will go over the dangers of immortalizing active college coaches and also a message to the NCAA: change your name or change your ways. I'll be right back after this brief message from our sponsor. So please continue to sit back and enjoy your early morning coffee with Babethomherman.
A Natural Skincare Studio. Now your new neighborhood skincare studio. Professional, friendly, relaxing, personalized attention. Now offering facials, natural manicures, pedicures, and waxing. Come check us out at 711 Iredell Street, Suite 3A, Durham, North Carolina, 27707. Give us a call at 919-416-1490 or check us out on our website at www.misseajbeauty.com.
Squeeze, don't tease her, never leave her.
Once again, that's A Natural Skincare Studio located in Durham, North Carolina. So please call Eugenia and schedule your appointment. Now, I stated earlier that I will go over the teams that have never, the football programs, FBS football programs that have never been placed on probation. Air Force, Akron, Alabama Birmingham, Army, Boston College, Bowling Green, Brigham Young, Central